Transmitting from the GSM studio, Ministers of the Stories.
lóòótọ́ àlùkà wà ní ẹrù olódùmarè ni ló fi jẹ́ pé àlùkà wà ní téèyàn bá ṣe lórí òdodo olódùmarè tó lẹ́rù náà ní bá ní gbé àgbẹ́kẹ̀lé ìṣèjọba omi tuntun tí ń bẹ nípìnlẹ̀ ọ̀yọ́ èyí tí gómìnà ṣèyí mákindé ń darí nìyí ló fi jẹ́ ọgbà tí ìṣèjọba yìí ti gorí àlééfà ló ti gbé ìlànà ìṣèjọba olóko mẹ́rin kalẹ̀ ẹ̀kọ́ ọ̀fẹ́ ìwòsàn ọ̀fẹ́ ìgbélárugẹ ọrọ̀ ajé ohun ààbò tó gbópọn lára àṣeyọrí ìlànà yìí ní gbígba iléèwé gíga yunifásitì LAUTECH fúnpínlẹ̀ ọ̀yọ́ owó ìrànwọ́ fáwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ mòfin àwọn akẹ́kọ̀ọ́ gbàwé ọ̀fẹ́ ó sì tún gbolùkọ́ síṣẹ́ ìwòsàn ọ̀fẹ́ ní tìbútòrò ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀yọ́ nípa kíkọ́ ilé ìwòsàn alábọ́dé sí wọ́ọ̀dù tó dín ní 300 níye àtúnṣe àwọn ilé ìwòsàn tó ti wà tẹ́lẹ̀ òun ilé ìwòsàn alágbèéká kọ́rọ̀ ajé ìpínlẹ̀ wa lè rú gọ́gọ́ sí a ṣàtúnṣe àwọn ọ̀nà tó ti wà tẹ́lẹ̀ a sì tún la tuntun ìsẹ́yìn sọ́yọ́ ìsẹ́yìn sógbómọ̀ṣọ́ ìsẹ́yìn sókèèwò ṣakí sọ́gbọ̀rọ̀ àti bẹ́ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ ìgbélárugẹ iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ òun ní ojú pópó tó mọ́lẹ̀ rókoṣo ẹ̀tọ́ àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ àtòṣìṣẹ́ fẹ̀yìntì ò sì tẹ̀tì ààbò sì dúró ore nípìnlẹ̀ ọ̀yọ́ báwọn ọdẹ onípàkúté ò tiẹ̀ sinmi pàkúté wọn ń dìdẹ olódùmarè tó lẹ́rù ń bá ìṣàkóso ìgbẹ́rù rẹ̀ gómìnà ṣèyí mákindé wá ń dúpẹ́ fún àtìlẹ́yìn gbogbo wa nípìnlẹ̀ ọ̀yọ́ lágbára olódùmarè ibi ire lòkè yìí ń gbé wa rè ibi ire.
iléeṣẹ́ ètò ìròyìn àṣà ohun ìrìn àjò afẹ́ ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀yọ́ ló ń kéde.
kí ló dé tóun tó dáa kì í kún ẹlẹ́gàn lójú ìjọba ẹnjìnìà Ṣèyí Mákindé ọ̀fẹ́ràn ṣẹ́kárí mi ni ṣùgbọ́n bọ́lọ̀ ń bá rí ọ nítorí àfẹnuyọ sùsìsì tí ń dùn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ jẹ́yìn náà rí ọ ọ̀pọ̀ àṣeyọrí lórí ìdàgbàsókè níjọba ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀yọ́ ti ṣe ẹ̀jẹ̀ sọ díẹ̀ mbẹ́ ó pèsè ọkọ̀ lárìnká sọ̀fin tó tó agbègbè iṣẹ́ ibi kárí ìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀yọ́ àfikún àtìròyìn lágbára fáwọn operation board dáyẹ́tẹ̀ ìwéré ilé àtàgọ́ rẹ ó fi kún agbára ẹ̀rọ ayélujára bí òwìwí gbàwòrán àṣẹlẹ̀ pàjáwìrì sílẹ̀ ńbàdàn commissioning of mobile squadron unit lágbára rẹ ó dáwọ́lé múgbòòrò ètò ọrọ̀ ajé nípínlẹ̀ ọ̀yọ́ nípasẹ̀ àgbẹ̀ farm of estate lákòfò èrúwà àti láwẹ́ pípín ohun ọ̀gbìn fẹ́gbẹ̀rún mẹ́wàá àgbẹ̀ asphalt and equipment níjàyè fífọwọ́síwé èmi ni mo ní nǹkan mi sí ọ̀fọ̀ lóṣù péréte ẹgbẹ̀lẹ́gbẹ̀ mílíọ̀nù fún dènà covid-19 àbítọ̀nà ọ̀dàjì road LAUTECH vehicle inspection center ìdíàpẹ́ ọ̀nà amáníyà ìjàyè sí sẹ́yìn àtàwọn agbègbè dágbègbè níbàdàn ó gbówó oṣù ọdún 4 kalẹ̀ fún ìṣẹ́fẹ̀yìntì àwọn olùkọ́ gbogbo ọ̀ọ́dúnrún òṣìṣẹ́ dádúró lọ́nà àìtọ́ ló gbà padà tó sì ń sanwó wọn déédéé abẹ́ gbáriwo ó káṣù ẹgbẹ̀rún mẹ́ta owó tóbi ń san ẹ̀kọ́ dọ̀fẹ́ ó kún ìwò tún kíláàsì ṣe ó fa LAUTECH padà di tìpínlẹ̀ ọ̀yọ́ àtúnṣe pẹ̀lú ohun èlò fún ilé ìwòsàn alábọ́dé lọ́pọ̀ bíi mélòó láwọn aka tàbọ̀ ara ẹni tí ń pẹ̀gàn ìjọba Ṣèyí Mákindé má pẹ̀lú ọ̀bọ̀jẹ̀kọ̀ ohun gbogbo tí ń ṣe lọ́wọ́ ni ẹja jọ wò.
Ọ̀yọ́ State Ministry of Information, Culture and Tourism.
You're welcome back to the newspaper review here on Aloore Radio, transmitting from the GSM studio, Ministry of Information and Orientation. And going straight to the details of the stories that we have on the two newspapers that I have here with me, the Nigerian Tribune and, of course, the Punch newspaper. First, I'll be taking this from the page 2 of the Punch newspaper, which says, Lagos Katsina Sokoto workers shun NLC. Strike grounds Abuja states. The strike called by the Nigerian Labour Congress to protest the failure of the federal government to provide palliative following the fuel subsidy removal Tuesday grounded economic and commercial activities in several states, but workers in Lagos, Sokoto and Katsina states snubbed the labor action. Banks and other financial institutions and civil service in the 3 states as well as Delta, Bayelsa and Ogun did not comply with the NLC directive to shut down service as they attend to their customers. But the 2-day strike, which commenced on Tuesday, paralyzed activities in the Federal Capital Territory and some states with banks, ministries, agencies and departments shut to the public. For details of that story, Lagos Katsina Sokoto workers shun NLC, strike grounds Abuja states. You can turn to page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And for today, on the story, guess what continues as 5 justices decide Atiku Obi petition today. The 100-day mark in office is a celebrated benchmark for most presidential and elected public office holders. It is an opportunity to address early access and challenges as new president sets the tone for their recent administration, capitalizing on the momentum and public attention of their recent election. For President Bola Tinubu, however, the 100th day is a stark reminder that despite being sworn in as president on May 29, 2023, his electoral victory still hangs in balance as pundits continue to guess the final judgment of the presidential election petition tribunal sitting today. For details of that story, you can turn to page 3 of the Punch newspaper. Still on Punch newspaper, it says here on page 4, immigration to repatriate 61 illegal migrants arrested in Ogun. The Controller Nigeria Immigration Service Ogun State Command, Bosede Olayemisi, has confirmed the arrest of 62 illegal immigrants comprising of 61 Cameroonians and 1 Burkinab. She said the affected persons will be repatriated to their countries this week. Olayemi said the illegal immigrants were picked up around Ibafo and Asheshe in the Obafemi Owode local government area of the state after an intelligence report from the Lagos Zonal Command. She disclosed this on Tuesday while parading the suspects at the Immigration State Command headquarters, Okemosan, Abeokuta. Immigration to repatriate 61 illegal immigrants arrested in Ogun. For details of the story, you can turn to page 4 of the Punch newspaper. And still on to Punch newspaper, it says here, rather on a sad note, says 2 die in Lagos-Ibadan expressway crash. 2 people were reported dead while 8 others were injured on Tuesday in a lone accident involving a Toyota Ace with number plate GAS 937XA around Christopher University along the Lagos-Ibadan expressway. The spokesperson for the Federal Road Safety Corps Ogun State Command, Florence Okpe, in a statement made available to the journalist, attributed the lone crash to wrongful overtaking and excessive speed. The statement read, and I quote, FRSC operatives attached to the Mowe Unit Command in conjunction with Trace carried out a rescue operation on the Lagos-Ibadan expressway around Christopher University. The crash occurred around 11:30 a.m. of Tuesday involving a vehicle with number plate GAS 937XA, a Toyota ISI, end quote. For details of that story, 2 die in Lagos-Ibadan expressway clash. You can turn to page 5 of the Punch newspaper. Let me take another story here from the Nigerian Tribune on page 5. Says Occupy Nigeria protest against fuel subsidy removal in 2012 mere politics, fire me. Former governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, has said that the protest against fuel subsidy removal during former President Goodluck Jonathan administration in 2012 was a display of mere politics. Fayemi stated this while presenting his keynote address at a national dialogue organized to celebrate the 60th birthday of the founding National Secretary of Alliance for Democracy, AD, and fellow Abuja School of Social and Political Thought, Professor Odenta in Abuja on Tuesday. The event was attended by former President Jonathan, former Ministers of Education and Aviation Obi Ezekwesili and Osita Chidoka, among others. The immediate past Ekiti State Governor said the challenges facing the nation today cannot be solved unless the country embraces proportional representation where the spoils of election are shared between contestants. Occupy Nigeria protest against fuel subsidy removal in 2012 mere politics, says Fayemi. Say still on the same page of Nigerian Tribune on page 5, I have here nominations open for 2023 Obafemi Awolowo Leadership Prize. Nominations for the biannual Obafemi Awolowo Prize for Leadership officially opened on Wednesday with strong pro-female nominee bias. Obafemi Awolowo Foundation, the body in charge of the award, which celebrates leadership, excellence, and positivity, is inviting nominations from everywhere, but a pivotal encouraging female nominees points to deliberate aim at diversity and inclusivity in the year's award. For details of that story, nominations open for 2023 Obafemi Awolowo Leadership Prize. You can turn to the Nigerian Tribune on page 5. And still on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune, I have here from Oyo State, says Oyo government seals banks, telecom masts over non-payment of land use charge others. Oyo State government has sealed off some commercial banks as well as telecommunication masts in Ibadan for failing to pay statutory charges into the coffers of the state government. The sealing was done by the enforcement team of the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development, led by the Director Land Use Charge, Mr. Olufisayo Ogunbiyi, according to a statement by the State Commissioner for Information and Orientation, Mr. Dotun Oyelade, said the sealing had been preceded with the enforcement team serving notice on the affected commercial banks and the telecommunication outfits. For details of that story, you can turn to page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune. Oyo government seals banks, telecom masts over non-payment of land use charge others. Also, on a rather sad note, I have also on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune, it says 1 killed as truck drivers task force clash in Lagos. Palpable fear gripped Mile 2 area of Lagos from gunshots by security operatives as hoodlums blocked the busy road with bonfires protesting the killing of a truck driver identified as Tawhib Girishi in the early hours of Tuesday. A driver who pleaded animosity said Tawhib was actually killed around 3 a.m., but we protested when the day broke. He said, and I quote, he had loaded his tanker already and was waiting for the day to break before leaving the area. He was checking his vehicle when the task force attempted to tow his vehicle away. The driver added that while struggling with the policemen, one of them shot him and attempted to run away when he saw that he was dead. For details of that story, 1 killed as truck drivers task force clash in Lagos, you can turn to page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune. You're still on to the newspaper review here on Aloore Radio, and I will be right back after this short break to bring you more details from the dailies.
àṣà ò gbọ́dọ̀ wọlé gbẹ́yẹlé àṣà ò gbọ́dọ̀.
ẹ ǹlẹ́ bàbá àdìo ẹ wo àṣà ọ̀gbẹ́yẹlé nìkan mọ́ nísìn ẹlẹ́yẹlé gan-an làṣà ń gbé ọ̀rọ̀ ojú òní ìmọ̀ wa rí yín fún. ṣe é rí nígbà tí ìjọba kọ̀ tí ó sọ̀rọ̀ láwọn ọ̀dọ́ ti ṣaṣara bàgbó pé kí gbogbo àwọn oníṣẹ́ bí ó kù lágbègbè wa ni wọ́n bá níjọba sọ pé kámórí wá ká fọrùn lẹ̀.
tá ń sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ àdìo ìwọ náà sì tún pẹ̀lú ọ̀bọ jáwúra mi bí wọ́n mọ̀ pé nǹkan tíjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ń sọ ni pé a lè fi nǹkan tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó ṣàtúnṣe nǹkan tí ò dáa ó dáa àdìo láti gbẹ̀ tí wàá déhùn ṣé eégún kan ti wá yọrẹ sí babaláwo yín bí.
rárá o bàbá.
ní nǹkan tó jẹ́ pé kẹ́yìn ọ̀dọ́ tó fọn níjọba ti yàwó tùlù fún ẹ̀ṣọ́ aláàbò àmọ̀tẹ́kùn pé kí wọ́n fi tọ̀gbẹ́ tààlà láti lé gbogbo àwọn ẹni ibi jáde ní kọ̀lọ̀fín wọn bẹ́ẹ̀ ló ṣètò ọlọ́pàá scrodom ibi fáàbò gbogbo wa nípìnlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ náà ni ṣèjọba tó wáá ṣèyún ní òwà rẹ̀ nìràn lẹ́rù ní òtún mọ́ ọkọ̀ fẹ́ bí.
ọ̀rọ̀ yín yé mi bàbá àmọ́ ọ̀tọ̀ ní táwọn èèyàn mọ̀ ń wíìkì.
àwọn ará bíi ti tòṣèlú bọ̀ ọ́nù nígbà àtàkùté wọn mẹ́tẹ̀ẹ̀ta òde ó rí wọn lórí ẹ̀rọ ayélujára táwọn ti ròyìn òfegè ní ibi láti sọ̀jọba gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé ní súná bú ni.
bàbá kí làá wàá ṣe ṣé ẹ mọ̀ pọ́rọ̀ sọkúsọ bíi náà nú ẹ̀rùn ni.
ẹ̀yin ọ̀dọ́ tẹ́ ẹ nífẹ̀ẹ́ ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ dénú náà ni kẹ́ ẹ sọ fún gbogbo òlù pé orí ìpinnu àṣà ò gbọdọ̀ wọlé gbẹ́yẹlé níjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ dúró ní.
Let us take you on a journey across continents as we bring you latest news, captivating stories, and diverse perspectives from around the globe. From breaking news headlines to fascinating features, discover the stories that shapes our society and the voices that demand to be heard. It's Newspaper Review on Aloore Radio.
Iṣẹ́ Olúwa kò sẹ́ni tó iṣẹ́ Olúwa jù tàbá lọ. Lọ́lọ́run ọba fi gbé àga. Lọ́lọ́run ọba fi gbé àga ò lẹ́bí ń bínú lẹ́bí ń pẹ̀gàn o.
ẹ̀dá lọ. tá a bá rẹ̀ ní tá a kórìíra. tá a wá fẹjọ́ ẹ̀sùn ọlọ́run wípé kó má dépò. tọ́lọ́run wá gbérú ẹni bẹ́ẹ̀ dépò tán. èèyàn gbà fọlọ́ ni o. kí ló dé ẹni tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ọ̀tá ọ̀lẹ abiyamọ ọ̀tá gan. wọ́n ní pàkútí ọ̀tá ẹni ègbódù ọ̀yà. ká mẹ́yìn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ ọ̀tún mẹ́yìn lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ òsì. ká fẹ́yìn ní délùú sẹ́yìn ẹni tí ò ní yin ni ò ní yin ni. ẹ̀ ń pé gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé ò ṣe nǹkan kan kò ṣe nǹkan kan. pẹ̀lú àfojúsùn òpó mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin tó gbé lọ́wọ́ tọ́lọ́ ń sìn fún un ṣe lọ. akitiyan Ṣèyí Mákindé lójú ọ̀nà ètò ẹ̀kọ́. ó ṣe káńsù 3,000 tó bí ń san lórí ọmọ kọ̀ọ̀kan. ó ṣe ẹ̀kọ́ dọ̀fẹ́. ó pínwé ó tún yàrá ìkàwé ṣe. bẹ́ẹ̀ ló falẹ̀ ẹ̀kọ́ gíga LAUTECH padà di tìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. ètò ìlera ń kọ́. àtúnṣe pẹ̀lú pípèsè ohun èlò fúnlé ìwòsàn alábọ́dé. ẹ wo laboratory tó wà nílé ìwòsàn ní Ọ̀yọ́. àwọn ọkọ̀ ambulance gbogbo wọ̀nyí ń kọ́. ìgbìyànjú Ṣèyí Mákindé lórí ìkétò ààbò lè mú dán ìnípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ń kọ́. ó pèsè ọkọ̀ fáwọn agbófinró kí wọ́n máa fi yíde patrol ní tìbútòrò ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. operation boss tó kó fún wọn láyé tẹ̀ ìwéré ilé àtàgọ́ rẹ̀. CCTV camera lójú pópó Ìbàdàn. commissioning of mobile squadron units lágọ̀ rẹ̀. tó wá dà bẹ́ẹ̀ kẹ́ ẹ máa gbèsè yóò ṣe nǹkan kan. nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ wa ìtẹ́tọ̀ ọ̀gbìnrin wọ ìjọba gbà. ó ṣàgbékalẹ̀ farm estate lákòókò. èrú àti awẹ́ lábẹ́ òsádà. ó tún fẹ́ gbẹ̀rún lọ́nà ogún àgbẹ̀ léso kí wọ́n gbìn lóko wọn. ó mójútó ìdókòwò tó lè máa pawó wọlé fún wa nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. asphalt àti quarry plant níjàyè. gbogbo ẹni tó ń ṣe sí ọ̀fọ̀ ilẹ̀ rẹ̀ báyìí nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ ní kíákíá ìrọ̀rùn ló ń bá dé o. ẹgbẹ́ gbẹ̀lẹ́gbẹ̀ owó tó gbé kalẹ̀ fún dènà COVID-19 nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. bó ṣe ń faná ló ń ṣọ̀nà ló ń ṣomi. owó oṣù àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ yàmọ́. bẹ́ẹ̀ làwọn òṣìṣẹ́ fẹ̀yìntì ń gbẹ̀tọ́ wọn déédéé. a ní ẹ̀rìn gbòòrò wò kẹ́rì iṣẹ́ tí Ṣèyí Mákindé ń ṣe ẹlẹ́ẹ̀ráyè. ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́. ṣé wàá rí báyìí polówó kan tẹ̀nu. ẹ kíyè sáwọn tẹ̀m̀bẹ̀lẹ̀kọ ẹ̀dá tí wọn kì í ráṣeyọrí ẹlòmíì. ẹ jẹ́ gbárùkù tí ẹnjìnìá Ṣèyí Mákindé kó kẹsẹ̀ járí. lójú pọ̀nà àfojúsùn kó mẹ́rẹ̀ẹ̀rin tó gbé lọ́wọ́ yìí. ẹ̀yin ará bí ẹ fò tẹ́lẹ̀.
ẹ ò gbọ́dọ̀ o fàjà mi àgbẹ̀ máa dùn.
ìkéde ìwá láti iléeṣẹ́ ìròyìn àṣà àtìrìnàjò afẹ́ nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
You're still on to the newspaper review here on Aloore Radio, transmitting from the GSM Studio Ministry of Information and Orientation. And we're going on to the Nigerian Tribune on page 8. Says tight security as court delivers presidential election verdict today. Security disallows 20 to 30 minutes driving distance from court. Media organization ready for live coverage. Ahead of today's judgment in the 3 petitions challenging the declaration of Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the winner of the February 25th presidential election, some television stations have set up their outside broadcast equipment in preparation for the live broadcast of the judgment as early as 3 p.m. on Tuesday. To ensure the security and orderliness of the proceedings and the aftermath, a stringent security plan has been put in place within the Federal Capital Territory. Checks revealed as at Tuesday evening, about 50 media organizations, both Nigerian and foreign, have submitted their names to the Court of Appeal for fresh accreditation and permission to access the courtroom and its premises today. In addition to these measures, a robust security presence will be established in and around the court premises. For details of that story, tight security as court delivers presidential election verdict today, you can turn to page 8 of the Nigerian Tribune. And here on page 13 of the Nigerian Tribune, I have Oyetola frowns on vessel chartering, says Nigeria needs national carrier. The Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola, on Tuesday said that Nigeria needs a national carrier for the freight of crude oil products. Speaking after touring assets owned and operated by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, the former Osun State Governor expressed satisfaction with NIMASA's modular floating deck. According to Oyetola, I quote, "I am particularly interested in the NIMASA modular floating dock because of its potential to generate employment and stem capital flights." Oyetola frowns on vessel chartering, says Nigeria needs national carrier. You can turn to page 13 of the Nigerian Tribune. And on information technology on page 21 of the Nigerian Tribune, I have Nigeria hosts 54 countries, others to Africa Internet Governance Forum 2023. Nigeria is set to play host to 54 African nations and other continental internet governance stakeholders blocks at the 2023 Africa Internet Governance Forum 2023 in Abuja from September 18 to 21. This year's event, being the 12th edition of the annual forum, is being hosted by the Nigerian Communication Commission (NCC) on behalf of the federal government and is scheduled to take place at the Transcorp Hilton Hotel, Abuja, with the theme Transforming Africa's Digital Landscape, Empowering Inclusion, Security and Innovation. For details of that story, you can turn to page 21 of the Nigerian Tribune. Moving on the newspaper review, I want to take the stories from page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune, which says IGP constitutes panel on cadet's death at Police Academy. The Acting Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, has set up a 7-member panel of inquiry to investigate the sudden death of a young cadet, Sulaiman Jika, at the Nigerian Police Academy, Wudil in Kano State. This was contained in a statement made available to journalists in Abuja by the Forest Public Relations Officer, ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi. According to the statement, I quote, the panel has the Deputy Inspector General of Police, DIG, in charge of the Force Criminal Investigation Department, Abiodun Alabi, as its head, and is mandated to conduct a thorough and impartial investigation into the circumstances surrounding the cadet's death. IGP constitute panel on cadet's death at Police Academy. You can turn to page 26 of the Nigerian Tribune. And coming from Kogi State, I have district head kidnapped in Kogi. The district head of Ofudgo at Opulega in Ankpa local government area of Kogi State, Chief Abdul Karim Aliu, has been kidnapped by suspected abductors who have demanded a ransom of 5 million naira. It was gathered that the incident happened around 7:30 p.m. on Saturday when the hoodlums invaded his palace and whisked him away. According to the locals, the kidnappers came to his house disguised as police officers and took him away in his Toyota Lexus Sport utility vehicle SUV to unknown destination. District head kidnapped in Kogi. And still on the Nigerian Tribune on page 26, I have Oyo government to demolish shops, kiosks built into school fences. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has issued a 1-week ultimatum to owners of shops built into the perimeter fences of public schools in the state to pull down the shops and stop all trading activities. This, he said, is to ensure sanity in the school's environment ahead of students' resumption. Makinde, who maintained that the government intends to make the learning in the state more conducive, decried the situation in which the school environment is being compromised with trading activities close to school and entrance. Or your government to demolish shops, kiosks built into schools' fences. And let me take the story before we round up on today's newspaper from the Punch newspaper on page 5. It says robbers invade 3 Oyo communities in midnight raids. Armed robbers on Tuesday invaded 3 communities in Ibadan, the Oyo state capital. The robbers were said to have stolen money, phones, pieces of jewelry, and other items. The affected communities include Alaja, Seriki, and Ogogo in the new Ibadan-Oyo Expressway in the Akinyele local government area of the state. For details of the story, you can turn to page 5 of the Punch newspaper. Robbers invade 3 communities in midnight raid. And on that note, we've come to the end of today's newspaper review here on Aloore Radio, transmitting from the GSM Studio Ministry of Information and Orientation. Today, Wednesday, September 6, 2023. Thank you for being there. Still continue to join us on the Facebook, www.facebook.com/Aloore Radio. We are also on the YouTube at Aloore Radio. Thank you for being there and continue to listen to Aloore. My name is Aboyedioju, and I have with me the studio manager here with me, DG Olawoyi. Thank you and keep listening.